Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, "Need me to adhere to the dress code right now?" Enjoy the fallout. I was reminded of this story from my work by one of my co-workers. It's been maybe 5 to 7 years since this happened. Where I work there is a semi-strict dress code that needs to be adhered to so we look presentable when going to customers' houses. The minor details are more or less negotiable depending on who's our manager that day. We have a normal manager we see almost daily, but if he's off or it's a weekend someone else subs in. The day this happened was a Saturday and our regular manager was off, so the duty manager for the day happened to be Mr. Hardass, whom no one liked, and he made it his life goal to make all the techs miserable. When we walked in the door we had to pass through the manager's office to get to our meeting area. My co-worker Tim, name changed, walked in the door that was to the manager's office with everything looking right on his uniform but his shirt untucked. The following conversation took place: "MH, your shirt should be tucked in." T, absolutely, and I will do that when I set my gear down and go to the bathroom. MH, no, you need to show up for work ready to work. Not show up and get ready on my time. T, okay, let me set my stuff down and I'll go right to the bathroom and tuck it in for you. MH, no. You're going to tuck it in right now before you walk another step into my building. T, right now? MH, right now. So, my co-worker did as instructed, unbuttoned his pants and pulled them all the way down to his ankles and proceeded to smooth out his shirt and then reach all the way down and pull his pants all the way back up and rebutton them. From there he immediately walked outside and called the HR hotline and told them his manager on duty just forced him to undo his pants and semi-strip in front of him in his personal office and wouldn't allow him to go to the bathroom to tuck his shirt in. That he felt weird and uncomfortable to be around MH and didn't know if he had any ulterior motives. None of us are privy to what exactly happened from that phone call on, but we do know that he got laterally moved from being a tech manager to the safety team where he was no longer in charge of any subordinates. Next one is titled, "Only one drink allowed per visit to the bar without a tip?" No problem. Some years ago, my parents and I went on holiday to Tenerife and stayed in an all-inclusive hotel in Las Americas. The reviews were somewhat mixed, but the place looked nice enough on the photos we had seen, and besides that we were only going to be using the room to sleep in. Everything seemed okay on arrival. The next day we visited the bar in between lounging around the pool. The bartender was friendly and had recognized he hadn't seen us before and welcomed us to the hotel. We got all of our drinks with no issue. The next time I decided to visit the bar solo. This is where the issues began. The bartender kept tapping his tip glass whilst pouring drinks. This guy was about as subtle as a slap to the face. I had a small amount of money with me and assumed that tipping was just an expected cultural thing, therefore I crossed his palms with gold and that was that. Away I went with the multiple drinks I requested. Each time I visited the bar the bartender couldn't have been nicer. Perhaps too nice. Even if there was a queue of multiple people he would ask me what my order was before those ahead of me. And of course I gave him a small tip each time too. Young and naive, I didn't think too much of it. It's worth noting that the bar was only ever staffed by this one guy on his own who seemingly never had time off. We discovered there was a rooftop terrace with a small pool and decided to spend the next day up there. This is where the fun began. There was a bar up there, however it transpired this was paid only and the all-inclusive wasn't allowed to be used there. This meant that any time we wanted drinks a 10-minute round trip was necessary to get to the ground floor, walk across to the other side of the hotel to the only all-inclusive bar. The first drinks trip of the day was made by my mother, who arrived back 10 minutes later rather bemused with only one drink. Only one drink per visit to the bar, the bartender had informed her. Knowing I'd been the only one regularly tipping I decided to make my way back there. Multiple drinks no issue, also skipped the queue again. Needless to say we found the situation both comical and infuriating. This gave my dad an idea. He went to the bar, to be told again that only one drink was possible per visit. So he did just that. ordered one drink, walked outside, put the drink down, queued again. Rinse, repeat. The best was yet to come. We had become friendly with a few other families who we joined in the evenings for drinks. We were telling them about this and they all too were annoyed by the same situation. After all, we're not against tipping, but not every visit when we'd all paid more for the hotel to begin with to avoid having to pay. Cue the malicious compliance. Between the families there was approx 10 of us. Fueled by alcohol, we came up with the ultimate power move to get back at the bartender. We waited till there was a big queue for the bar, and all got up and joined the queue. Still stood together and able to chat. This really was of no detriment to our evening. We would get a drink, go to the back of the queue, drink said drink in the queue whilst talking to our newly found friends, and continued to do so for a good hour or so. Man, this bartender was upset. I wish I could have taken a picture of this guy's face as his self-imposed policy bit him right on the behind. He was huffing, puffing, ranting away in Spanish, which we couldn't fully understand, but it was clear we had ruined his night. The following day my dad visited the bar and asked for multiple drinks. The bartender simply sighed, and complied. The plan had succeeded. Next one is titled, "Want me to BS a review to get more business? Have fun losing money." Several years have passed since this incident and the people involved have either forgotten about this or don't lurk around this subreddit. Either way, names have been changed for privacy reasons. Background: I was working as a contractor for a big firm where clients go to for specific services and then we are assigned to that company on a subcontractor basis. The firm charges the clients an arm, a leg and a kidney or two while paying us a tiny percentage of the sales. Business is business and I can't complain about that. When it's time to renew the contract with the client every 3 months, we are supposed to write a review about what's going on and what should be done in the next term. Now for the story. I worked on that project for 2 months and I had a very good relationship with the employees and their CEO and everything was peachy until my company wanted the client to pay double for additional services and wanted me to write a bogus review stating that their current situation was absolute crap and they should go for the new and improved plan. Moreover, I was supposed to do it by 7 p.m., 1.5 hours away, and it was my day off. I was in the middle of a trip with friends and I said no can do and hang up. It was Friday. I didn't check my emails until Monday morning. Guess who woke up to 17 emails from the company and 2 from my client? I checked the client's email first and the CEO had personally emailed me asking what was going on and why was my company pressuring them to sign a new contract when the old one was still active. I didn't say anything and told him that I'll check it out and get back to him. Not a minute passed before I got a call from my team leader. TL, why didn't you write the report on Friday? Me, on my day off? TL, you should be available whenever we want you to do something. Me, what if I was sick or in the hospital? What would you have done then? TL, but you were not, and we expect you to do as we say because you are bound by employee rulebook. Me, as you may know, I'm not one of your employees, but a contractor. We have specific dates and times we work and you can't just call me on a day off and ask me to work out of the blue. That would be against my contract with your company. By the way, since the client's current contract is still active for a month, the review has to be written after the contract ends. Not before. It's even written in the contract you signed off. TL, I don't care about semantics. Write a review by the end of the day. Me, I'm not going to BS the review. TL, you have to do as we say or else you're fired. Malicious compliance time. He said I had to write the BS review, but didn't mention anything about the real review. So, I wrote the real review and under that I wrote the review Mr. XYZ asked me to write and wrote the BS review. Send it to the client and CC'd the TL, all the other contractors, the execs and anyone who had the faintest idea about the project. I wish I was there to see their faces when they received the email. Best part? They tried to fire me, but couldn't due to the terms of the contract. So I had no work, but full pay for 4 months. My PC was locked, so I went to the office every day, brushed up my resume and started sending emails all day while having free coffee, tea. The client I was working for hired me the next week as a freelance consultant. So I was getting double the income, though for 4 months, and stopped going to the company altogether. The CEO was a powerful guy and he immediately sent an email to all the businesses he knew and no one renewed their contract, resulting in a net loss of a couple million a year per company. I heard 1 or 2 companies took them to court for falsifying reports, but not sure what happened to them. Next one is titled, Really Malicious Compliance. My father owns a check cashing business in the 1970s, and my wife and I both help out at times. One afternoon, my wife is working the only open window. A woman comes to the window. Woman, you're not going to cash my check, you witch. Normally, cursing at the employees will get you sent away. Wife is somewhat taken aback but decides to see what she can do. She answers the woman back in the same tone. Wife, how do you know I'm not going to cash your check? Give me that check. The woman hands her the check. Wife, now give me your ID. The woman hands over her ID. Wife, I'm going to show you what I think of you. I'm going to cash your check. Sign here on the back. The woman picks up the check, signs, and hands it back again. At this point, my father, who has been sitting in the back of the shop adding up yesterday's accounts, notices the volume and comes up. Father, is anything wrong? Wife, no, nothing's wrong. The customer agrees. Wife counts out the correct amount of money. Wife, there. See, I told you I could cash your check. The woman looks relieved. Woman, thank you, I've had a really bad day and I guess I was just in a horrible mood when I came in. I feel so much better now. She smiled and went away. Another satisfied customer. Next one is titled, I'm indisposed, you idiot. What do you think that means? More than a decade ago I was an at-large quality inspector for a large industrial manufacturer. I say at large because a majority of my work was on the plant floor, with my office only being used for paperwork and the occasional precision inspection. In the approximately 2.5 years that I worked there, I had 7 different people as my boss. 9 if you count the 2 guys that were in charge of my work twice. Zappa, I'm not sure if that's a real name, but it definitely wasn't this guy's real name, was an engineer from overseas, and his culture tends to produce arrogance in people that gain positions of authority. I don't have a problem with people from that country, but both Zappa and his boss are some of the most arrogant men I have ever met. Topping that list is a professor from the same country. All of the supervisors and quality staff are required to have a radio. Our radios had several channels, and the QA team had their own. This would seem to make any conversation private, but the line inspectors all wore radios so a lot of the plant could hear them. This particular bit of MC starts with a biological break. I am almost finished doing my business when I get called over the radio. Zappa, Tails, this is Zappa. Tails, go for Tails. Zappa, where are you right now? Not wanting to give the whole plant a mental picture they can't unsee, I reply with, indisposed. I can meet in 5 minutes, just tell me where. Zappa, but where are you right now? Tails, not currently available. Zappa, Tails, tell me where you are, right now. Sounds like he wants to chew my butt. Little did he know. Okay boss, you asked for it. Tails, I am currently in the 4th stall from the door in the east bathroom, sitting down and feeling much better. There is a pause on the other end of the line. I'm pretty sure that he was with someone else at the time, but I'll never know. When you are finished, he said quietly, please see me in my office. Of course. I'll be there in 5 minutes. I don't remember what was so important, but it wasn't anything that couldn't have waited 5 minutes. But he never pressed me over the radio again. Next one is titled, Bad Customer Service Backfires. So this isn't my story but my mum's. Woman is the master of malicious compliance and pettiness when someone pisses her off. So when I was about 9 my mum was involved in a car accident that wasn't her fault but destroyed our car. The car was a complete write-off. It was about 2 weeks before our scheduled summer holidays and mum just wanted the replacement value of the car. She had another car all picked out. She just needed her check from our provincial insurance to pay for it. The difference of what they were fighting about was about $400 back in 1994. And my mum was bound and determined she was getting the full replacement value. She just wanted to get a new car so she could take us camping for our holidays. The insurance adjuster declined Mum 3 times. And she was just getting more and more upset. She had every single piece of documentation for the value of her car and the replacement costs, and that was all she wanted. As a last-ditch effort, she even tried reasoning with the adjuster that she had 3 small girls and she just wanted this sorted so she could take her girls on holiday. His exact words were, "You can have your holiday in the office here for all I care, it's not my problem, this is our final offer." Well, my mum took that as a dare. Bright and early Monday morning, Mum showed up at the insurance adjuster's office with a picnic lunch and 3 girls with toys in hand to have her holiday right there in the office. There are Crown corporations, province-owned, and their office and lobby spaces were classed as a public area back then. So they couldn't make her leave. So a 9, 7 and 5-year-old are playing quite happily and rambunctiously since we'd been told we were on holiday and didn't need to use our going out manners. Which I'm sure you can imagine isn't quiet at all. The insurance adjuster called the police to have us removed and show up only to greet my mum by name, since she cut their hair, and explain to them that it's a public service office and they can't force us to leave unless we enter an employee-only area or stay outside of business hours. One of the officers even sat down with us and was having a cup of pretend tea at our tea party. My mum proceeded to tell every customer who asked for the whole morning that she just wanted replacement value for her car. She was just a poor single mum with 3 kids and they'd made it so we couldn't go camping on holiday, but the adjuster had kindly offered to let us have our holiday in their office. With a big shit-eating grin every single time. About 1:30 p.m. it's time for nap time for my youngest sister. But of course it's too loud, too bright, and she's ridiculously overstimulated and also tired and needs that nap. So like most overstimulated and tired children, she kicks off in a huge sobbing tired tantrum. Full volume sobbing about how she wants to sleep and go camping. She easily went full volume for at least 30 minutes. My mum didn't bother to quiet her, just soothed her back. At that point the division manager came out and asked to speak to my mum. So I got told to stay put and mind my sisters for a minute. My mum came out 5 minutes later, full value check in hand, a big smile on her face, thanked the manager. Packed us up, picked up my sobbing baby sister. Took us home, called the sitter to come over, and came back 2 hours later with our new to us car with a brand new hitch to tow our hard-top tent trailer, packed and ready to go, and we set off to go camping. Last one is titled, "If You Don't Like It, Then Leave." I worked as a housekeeper at a small local hotel. At the beginning, when I started, about 3 years ago, things were pretty peachy. I got above minimum wage and worked in an environment with a more relaxed working pace. We had more time than your average hotel to clean rooms, and it showed in customer satisfaction. We had stellar reviews, with customers raving about how there wasn't a speck of dust anywhere, how everything from the lamp shades to the bathroom drain was always scrubbed squeaky clean. I loved my job and took pride in it, and when we had extra time, which happened from time to time, we would do some deeper cleaning, like scrubbing all the walls inch by inch, disinfecting the whole bathroom, cleaning the blinds, etc. Even though we all had some extra time, we used it to make sure the rooms were always up to a very high standard. As a result of this, we got a reputation of being an affordable but very clean hotel, so our popularity spiked. Even before we got so popular, in our prime we were booked full about 90% of the days. Our boss made a pretty nice amount of money. We don't have a reception, we're self-service, you just get a passcode for your room via text message, so he saved money with that. He drives an expensive car and seems very well off. We were never struggling financially. Then things started changing. We're a very close-knitted team of cleaners who have been in the house for years. A couple of us left at the end of last year, one moved to another state, another became a housewife after having a kid, and we started expecting newcomers to our team. They never came. Our boss claimed that it's hard to find workers for this kind of job. We never had anyone interviewed, and I never saw ads anywhere that were hiring, so I'm not sure he was even planning on replacing them. So our work pace got tighter. We managed somehow, but there was no longer time for thorough cleaning. Then, the boss opened a restaurant so that the guests could have breakfast. Cleaning it daily got added to our workload, and that place is massive, it takes at least 1.5 hours to clean daily. At the same time, he also opened a separate Airbnb-style apartment, 3 bedrooms, kitchen, living room and bathroom, for larger groups who wanted to reside together. Cleaning that fell on us as well. So suddenly, we were down 2 people, there were 7 of us initially, and shoved 2 massive new responsibilities. We asked our boss again to hire more people, but he said no and that we've been having it too easy beforehand. He also refused to add another hour or 2 to our daily working hours, currently 9 AM to 3 PM. We have 6 hours and everything needs to be done at 3 PM sharp because that's when the new passcodes start working. Understandably, we were stressed out. There was suddenly far too much to do and our boss also simultaneously expected that we would keep up our usual cleaning standard. But when our time per room plummets from 45 minutes to 25 minutes tops, usually closer to 15, obviously we're not able to clean everything the way we did before. We would get yelled at when we got bad feedback because there wasn't enough time to clean thoroughly enough. Customers who came in after our clean rooms were disappointed and took their business elsewhere. Also, my co-workers started calling in sick because they were burned out. It was a mess, but our boss maintained the outlook that if he just pushed a massive amount of work on us, we'd somehow magically find an extra pair of hands and get everything done 100%. Last week, we had a meeting with my co-workers. We discussed the current situation and to my surprise, everyone was considering quitting. Out of loyalty to our longtime employer, the 5 of us agreed to have a meeting with our boss and try to persuade him to hire more staff to bring the hotel back to its earlier standard. A couple of days later, we had the said meeting. Our boss was still in denial and said that we just need to up our pace and do things faster. He cited that most hotels give housekeepers about 20 minutes to do everything. We pointed out that it's true, but in that case he can't expect us to clean better than those hotels. He scoffed and told us, "If you don't like working here, then leave." That was all we needed to hear. That night we had another meeting amongst us cleaners. We checked our contracts and realized there was no agreed on notice for resignation as we're at will. So, we were all going to take his advice. This morning, at 9 AM sharp, the 5 of us paid our boss a visit. The look on his face when we simultaneously slammed down our resignation letters and marched out, leaving no one to clean the whole hotel today, will warm my heart for the rest of my days. He was absolutely stunned. He tried to call us to talk things over. We just did what you told us to. Have fun replacing what was a motivated, loyal and dedicated team of cleaners who made your business bloom. Thanks for listening.